A drone strike in Bahrain has hit something rarely targeted in war, a desalination plant. These facilities supply drinking water across the Gulf. And now one has been damaged as Iran's strikes widen beyond military bases. Tehran blames Washington for the escalation. So has this war just crossed another line? On March 8th, Bahrain reported that an Iranian drone struck one of its desalination plants. It is the latest in a series of Iranian strikes on Gulf infrastructure that have steadily widened the scope of this conflict since it began on February 28th. The attack marked a shift from military targets to civilian infrastructure, and it did not go unnoticed across the region. Bahrain confirmed the strike caused what officials described as material damage. Desalination plants are not military targets. Hundreds of desalination plants sit along the Persian Gulf coast, and the Arab countries in the region rely heavily on the facilities for their drinking water. Iran has now fired missiles and drones at the Gulf, and even as Pezeshkian apologized for strikes on neighboring countries, the attacks continued. Bahrain's water authorities said the Iranian attack had no impact on water supplies. Iran's Foreign Minister Araghchi placed responsibility directly on Washington.
Responsibility for any intensification of Iran's exercise of self-defense will lie squarely with the US administration.
He also noted that Trump's own National Intelligence Council, drawing on input from 18 American intelligence agencies, determined that war on Iran is destined to fail.
For the first time since this war began, Israel struck the heart of Iran's oil infrastructure. On March 7th, Israeli Air Force jets bombed several fuel storage complexes in Tehran, including depots in the Kuhak, Shahran areas of the capital, and in the nearby city of Karaj. Eyewitnesses on the ground watched flames and thick black smoke rise over the city. According to Iranian state media, an oil depot near Tehran's main refinery complex was hit, though the refinery itself was reportedly spared. The Israeli military was direct about its intent. In a statement, the IDF said,
"The military forces of the Iranian terror regime make direct and frequent use of these fuel tanks to operate military infrastructure. Through them, the Iranian terror regime distributes fuel to various consumers, including military entities in Iran. The strike constitutes an additional step in deepening the damage to the military infrastructure of the Iranian terror regime."
IDF spokesman Brigadier General Effie Defrin said the military had, in recent days, moved into a new phase where they aim to target complex infrastructure. The numbers tell their own story. In just 1 week, the Israeli Air Force dropped over 7,500 bombs on Iran. That is twice what Israel dropped during the 12-day war last June. Over 3,400 strikes in 7 days. And then came Netanyahu. In a televised address on Saturday, the Israeli Prime Minister spoke directly to the Iranian people. His message was not subtle.
"We have an organized plan with many surprises to destabilize the regime and allow for change. We have many more targets, and I will not detail them here. But to the operatives of the Revolutionary Guards, those who oppress the Iranian people in the streets, I say this: you are also in our sights. The moment of truth is approaching, for we do not seek to divide Iran. We seek to liberate Iran, to free it from the yoke of tyranny, and to live with it in peace. But at the end of the day, liberation from the yoke of tyranny will depend on you, the brave and long-suffering Iranian people."
Israeli officials speaking to Channel 12 went further. One senior security official said,
"There's no deadline for the campaign."
Another said,
"We are optimistic about the ability to cause the regime to collapse."
Meanwhile, in Florida, President Trump addressed Latin American leaders at his Shield of Americas summit.
"We knocked out their Air Force. We knocked out their communications, and all telecommunications is gone. 8 months ago, they would have had a nuclear weapon, and, they're crazy, and they would have used it. So we did the world a favor."
Tehran did not go quiet. Iran fired a dozen volleys of missiles at Israel. No injuries were reported in Israel, though one missile damaged a home in the central city of Lod. Hezbollah in Lebanon also launched attacks across the border in a show of solidarity with Tehran. The IRGC announced the 27th wave of Operation True Promise 4, its ongoing campaign of retaliatory strikes against American and Israeli targets.
Our drone units successfully targeted the location where American forces are stationed in Marina, in the vicinity of the buildings of the Warner Brothers Company. Our naval forces, meanwhile, struck the command unit of the 5th Fleet's unmanned surface vessel unit and the military support hangars of American terrorist forces at Salman Port in the Persian Gulf.
The United States reportedly also struck a freshwater desalination plant on Keshem Island. Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi responded with fury.
If Mr. Trump seeks escalation, it is precisely what our powerful armed forces have long been prepared for, and what he will get. Responsibility for any intensification of Iran's exercise of self-defense will lie squarely with the U.S. administration.
The stakes in that single sentence are enormous. A war that began between Israel and Iran now threatens to reach into the infrastructure of every country in the Gulf. Iran has not yet struck a desalination plant outside its borders. But its foreign minister has made clear that it believes America opened that door first.
One week into one of the most volatile military confrontations the Middle East has seen in decades, Iran's President Pezeshkian stepped in front of a camera and did something unexpected. He apologized. In a pre-recorded address aired on Iranian state television, Pezeshkian said,
I apologize to the neighboring countries that were attacked by Iran. We have no intention of invading other countries. This decision was made by the Leadership Council. The Interim Leadership Council agreed yesterday that no more attacks will be made on neighboring countries and no missiles will be fired unless an attack on Iran originates from those countries.
He didn't stop there. He went further, revealing that a temporary Leadership Council had issued a new directive, pulling back the military's open-ended authority to strike regional neighbors.
Our commanders, our leader, our dear ones, in reality, lost their lives because of the brutal invasion, and our armed forces, our heroes, who sacrificed their lives and put their lives in their hands to defend our territorial integrity. When the commanders were gone, they had freedom of fire and carried out all the necessary actions, defending our land with dignity and power.
So what changed? The president's explanation pointed to something remarkable, a breakdown in command. The strikes on Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, and the UAE were, by his account, the result of miscommunication within Iranian military ranks. For a nation engaged in active combat, that admission carries enormous weight. But Pezeshkian wasn't done. He also sent a pointed warning to any regional actors considering using this moment against Iran, saying,
To groups in neighboring countries who may think of using this opportunity to attack our territory, I send this message. Do not become tools of imperialism. We may have disagreements, we may have grievances, but right now, supporting Israel, which is committing genocide, and the United States, which is bullying, their presence is forever a source of shame and disgrace. I don't know how to say it. Being pawns of colonialists is terrible for those who think they can achieve freedom and dignity.
Then came his response to Donald Trump. A day earlier, the US president had posted on Truth Social that there would be no deal with Iran except unconditional surrender, adding that after that, Washington and its allies would help rebuild Iran under new leadership. Pezeshkian dismissed the demand with a defiance that left little room for interpretation.
They will take that dream to the grave if they think we will surrender unconditionally.
Whatever the president said about restraint, Iran's military was not standing down. On Saturday morning, the Iranian Navy announced that its kamikaze drones carried out large-scale strikes on US military installations across the region. The targets included the Minhad district in Abu Dhabi, the Al Udairi camp in Kuwait, and radar facilities at the Stot Micha Air Base in Israeli-occupied territory. The Navy said the operation was direct retaliation for the sinking of the Iranian destroyer Dana by a US submarine in the Indian Ocean, and warned the campaign would continue. The IRGC followed with its own statement, claiming the strikes had destroyed an advanced early warning radar system at the Al Dhafra airbase in the UAE, as well as hangars housing MQ-9 drones and facilities tied to US reconnaissance aircraft, including the high-altitude U-2 spy plane. In Kuwait, the IRGC claimed its cruise and ballistic missiles had hit the Ali Al Salem airbase, damaging radar systems, fuel storage facilities, and 2 runways used by American aircraft. Explosions were reported at Dubai International Airport. Loud blasts were heard across Abu Dhabi. The region was, by any measure, burning. And then the Strait of Hormuz. Iran's IRGC announced it had struck a Malta-flagged oil and chemical tanker named Prima in the Gulf, saying,
The vessel had ignored repeated warnings from the IRGC Navy regarding the prohibition of traffic and the unsafe nature of the Strait of Hormuz.
According to the Tasnim news agency, the drone strike came just minutes after those warnings were ignored. The Strait of Hormuz is the single most critical choke point for global oil supply. Any sustained Iranian campaign to close or restrict it does not just threaten the region, it threatens every economy on the planet that runs on fuel. The USS Abraham Lincoln Strike Group had already been forced into retreat after IRGC drones targeted it in the Sea of Oman. A week after US and Israeli strikes killed Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khamenei and top Iranian commanders, the war that many feared is no longer hypothetical. It is loud, it is spreading, and Saturday showed no signs that it is slowing down.